Okay, so just some wild ball here. Just some wild card poker or whatever. Playing for commissary with the boys. Try not to let Dave Chappelle get in the way of lunch. Um, in here, he gets talking about how that's tightened up. Like, you just need to tighten it up with the reporter calling him on scam for what it does. Because here I'm going to be ripping Cat. It's a good opportunity, but maybe not right at the very second. Um, there's been some other market diagrams where they've been dropping over because of value on how fast that rates. Now, this isn't actually too bad. You can kind of see the angles of the slope go, but that's not really sustainable as far as them trying to take on Berkshire and Hathaway, Samsung. Anything. I would prefer a BCAT for what it is down there, but then how is the union are you going to support that unless I'm paying the cat worker the ability to buy one share a week at least? And that's not a fair value across the board, but at any point in time, otherwise I'm putting into the retirement pot what wouldn't even be our own company because of the franchise. Everybody's got 10 friends, which actually makes it self-sustaining to a certain degree. Then you can see the cycles here. They're not 11-year, 12-year, but basically we're saying we caught some photons out of this place. And photons and gluons correlate the same matter, right? You're getting some cosmological issues at times that let's see if I can find a good example here. Vegans. You get some good examples inside here about, well, these are pretty similar diagrams. I mean, you got the FOMC, you got the DMA, you got the other ones inside here. You got candlestick variances, which can show you a different moving operator, or it would have a different high and low to the pins and sequences. But basically, between the range, there's a reason to keep the heliosphere here and here, I hat to J hat, and this is all uniform temperature. Basically, an ideal particle through a plane vacuum. I'm not sure which way being relative here. Seems like this is less chatter, so I'd go that way unless they're running to a high frequency because of the range of less particles to jump into. So if it hits, it'll be unabated, and less abated. No other fields really compressing it or anything else. And that's a high and low. And realistically, that's where the quantum mechanics gets into, whether it's, just this figure 4 or this figure 4, and then there's some alpha, betas, and gamma about what it does while trying to figure out the choppier predictability. But in general, you're going to break it down into log 12 or log 3 quarters or 4 quarters, excuse me. Why a third? That's the heresy that gets it all started. Yes, there are plants, they are different. This is a mustard seed, this being a double coconut. A single coconut or double coconut, something on the genetic line that made it a little different. These can also breed with each other for that standpoint. You're going to have a hard time with that mustard seed and this double coconut, but that would be your count. I mean, you know what I'm talking about. Macaroni and Jesus, Kraft up here having a hard time with not competing with what you're doing as far as the fucked Phillies over here. Look at me, Union. Some of these in that wave function way. Some of these things. I couldn't, Gunny. I didn't expect to win this bet either. It just happens that way. I'm working hard over here, making you work less hard, which brings you back home, and she's got to play less with Waldo. That's how that goes. Because in there, I mean, come back in peace, right? Like put a little fucking dick. Ohio. It's looking good, buddy. Now, I'll be honest with you. Like, from a broker's perspective, Leonidas, I gotta be honest with you here for a minute. Like, wait a minute here, Patriot. What you didn't know, anyways, being part of the daily grind down there, me introducing the truck. It's Heisenberg's friend over there. He makes a good coffee, but you got to pull that vacuum. I understand that notation of it as well. Here being the vacuum problem. Now, who sucks harder? I mean, like, honestly, you got to take into consideration they're going to kill you right now on the board, and that's not. Now you could argue, I don't know. I gotta play the game. One way or another. Even if I don't get that gold back inside of here, is it worth dying across the board for what we doing up here, Mayhem? I mean, you want to take a walk? Anytime I kick out, that's cool. I'm glad I know I have your permission in which to kick out anytime. Mm-hmm. 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 Yeah. Mm-hmm. See, and again, in this way, this isn't so bad. They're Amadeus or Pope. You're gonna want to talk in tongues too about the bishops, and maybe that's what happened when you hear Okoba. Are we talking Planet of the Apes or Disneyland? Maybe Nelson's he's not having so good of a date right now. Does he earn it? I don't know. The shunning over at Ezekiel's territory. I don't know. And I'll be fine with that, Data. But if she breaks my heart later on because she likes to grind your stuff later on, and I still can't turn that button on, I'm gonna break it off. Understand? Hmm. Hmm. Well, what if it was before all that stuff? I like to jump through some Makavas like a silly Billy, come up with the Foundation or some X-Men way to jump it over there with, I forget her name. The new one that they got been running on the Rock Core numbers. Or Doom, you're talking to Captain America and you're talking to Emma Frost over here about finally got cleared with the Q, Humpy. Well, that's gonna happen. All bullshit aside, no smoking on my fucking bird. What would you do if you were the Federation? You were trying to get it out to QMP with that civilization that we just saved because of you coming in here and the whole cluster fucking. Yeah, you don't. Exactly. I'm sure up in smoke, you fucker. Stay away from Janeway. Me? What are you talking about, Seek? I absolutely needed that power. There was no question about, well, this is how you rock face the rock. I'm going to need to know that you know that that's what this masked guy in here carrying a 2-pound hammer for the next 8-hour day while loading the next one on here. The unit of measurements and the know that measurement is power. Power. Of course, that might be the notation. That's cool. We appreciate you here on the farm. But like I said, there's no reason I shouldn't be in Cat or this Yell or Heister or Husqvarna or Bobcat. Those are good numbers. I mean, I'll be riding my Harley downtown, and you can bring it on. The guys, if you wanted Judas the Scroll Keeper here and kick that out and stop working that rock about Typhon stuff over there, or how one of the Dukes of Hell comes up later when one of them's trying to pull away that stone, because it would be you, and I'm going to be very gentle about how you were sharps trained at the time about this pure beating tree. My point being, I get that you're, the 83, and you may not understand that that's a gunnery sergeant or better. It looks like there's about 3 bars and rockers, so it's an E8 at least before they start to have some other shinies on here and breaks away. And then you're going to go E6, E5, or E7, E6, E5, E4, E3, or E2. And apparently, they mean things. And it's cool you're up and walking around here. I mean, you're still a problem. I'm not going to use your ass in the battlefield unless that becomes something positive as a distraction later, and in which case maybe you want to get out there and die for your cause, more than welcome to. But how about we keep you in the blacksmith shop where this skill is actually really still useful there, Stonehenge Mason. Well, we'll get this going, and I think it was something about medical or something. Yeah, you got a drug test. So what? I pissed out. I mean, it's fucking legal. I ate a gummy last night before I went to bed. Does that really? When you're 18 and still developing, you don't know shit. You don't have any of that worked out to about E3, where that starts to break off. About, well, it's not so much that, but if so, the number graphics at that point in time where something you need to correlate to, because I'm trying to catch you specifically. You drinking some Windex over there to put it all in the game for what it is. Even if House is in here for the hospital, I don't necessarily want to diagnose him with some weird ass disease that's super crazy on the state fucking aid. right? You know, what they were in here for or something is due process. When they get out, I'm glad that they know that, and we would certainly be like at the last visit down there, maybe we actually do our Hippocratical oath while dealing with the triage inside of there about what it takes to do that. I'm going to need to know inside and outside help. Well, there's these guys, and the guards are that, and maybe I can even take one of these guys and argue the pawn and bishop and some other things inside here, but I'm going to have a hard schematic on Sigma. You know, and maybe that's over there. You know, it's gonna be some Heister King click in here. I'm sure I got Black Panther doing it up too, because just for fun. Specifically, I'm just gonna flash through the glyph here about what it is. Pauli is exclusionary principle. There's, you know, if we look at it over the map, is this related to that? Well, they are weightless particles in a box together, but the second you observe them as such, you realize that they couldn't be not ultra-relativistic in some way. I usually say to the statement in the board factory, I didn't realize, you know, a normal grammatical issue is going to have a normal order operators of 1 is a board factory that lanternflies or cicadas are causing some goddamn problem. But realistically, cicadas right now were some order operator of that. Now, if I was a late board factory on that had a normal trickle charge every month and information coming in, or a lag on 2 or 3 months in some way, well, it's the same weightless photon in a box, but now orange juice report, clang. So, back to some of those are unions. A little off the line here. Those are in ways which you expect them to operate. And again, you know, I hate to be this way, but in a way, isn't it, Jaron? You're not going to take a bite out of me if I'm not a vegan. I'm here, I'll smoke, I'll eat macaroni and cheese, I'll have a cheeseburger with that. Maybe your Noah 900-year-old plan doesn't work so good by Sigma no more because of actions of tiny little differences, the Brownian mechanics that lay off the butterfly effect. And